Here we go. Teach Like a Rockstar podcast. I love this episode. I think this might be a first. I've done 40, 50, I don't know how many of these, but I think this might be the first time it's a double, man. We're double dipping. We got two guests on today. On the same screen, we have Nita and Mike Creekmore, a married couple from the Atlanta area in Georgia, and they're amazing. Like, I can't wait for you guys to meet them. So not met them. I guess I found Nita first online on Instagram, of course, and her Instagram is amazing. She's at Love Teach Bless, all one word, Love Teach Bless on Instagram. Mike is at bearded.school.counselor, and wait till you get to know these folks. They are awesome. Okay, here's the thing, man. They like individually, they're great. Like, they're awesome. Individually, they're most amazing people, amazing educators, smart, talented, bright, creative, funny. They have it all. But what I love about this, it's like a dynamic duo. When you put them together at the same time, like, they're awesome individually, but when they have like this synergistic effect, when they're together, they are even extra super awesome, amazing. All right, here we go. This is a great one. Enjoy. Let's do this. I found Nita, your Instagram is like beautiful. You have all kind of Instagram skills. And,
Thanks.
Yes, he does.
and
So,
man, I'm trying to figure the thing out. It gets to it like I have this crazy huge following on Facebook, but like I don't know. I think my teachers are really old or something because they haven't migrated some of them over to Instagram yet. But I'm trying to figure that whole thing out. And so are you still in the classroom? Are you like an instructional coach or?
I'm an instructional coach at a school, at elementary school.
And prior to that, what was your thing? Were you teaching elementary?
Yeah, I taught elementary school for 13 years.
Yeah.
So I taught like first grade, second grade, and fifth grade.
All right. And of all those grades, which was your favorite?
I hate everyone asks me that. And I like teaching the first graders because they love you. I mean, fifth graders love you too, but they kind of have that love for you from the beginning.
it's a different type of love.
Yeah. And then I teach them how to read, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
But fifth graders, man, it's you got to work to build. You have to build those relationships like for real. Like, it's like not a joke. Like, you have to like really work, and not like you don't in first grade, but they love you because you're nice to them and you read the books, and they love you anyway. But fifth graders, yeah, but that's why I like it so much, because I'm all about the relationships, and so they were like, I could talk to them like here. You know what I mean?
Right.
First grade, their feelings get hurt really, really badly if but so I like both.
You know what?
First,
I had a college professor, and she was like one of those kooky ones. I still remember, like, she didn't wear shoes; she had bare feet, And so, like, already I was excited, man. Barefoot, yeah, right. I'm in. And we did this exercise where she had like this meditation music with like this Native American drumming thing happen, and she made everybody lay on the floor. And I still remember this. She turned out the lights, and she like took us on like this guided meditation through your experience in school. And we had to close our eyes, and she took us and she asked us, go to your place where you felt most safe and you felt most loved by your teacher, and you felt most supported, and you're successful in class. And so I was thinking about my year with Mr. Mignon. It was my fourth grade year, elementary. And then she kind of woke us up, and she said, and we all talked about our experience of what we were thinking about during this meditation thing. And by the way, usually in these situations, I get the giggles really bad, but for whatever reason, I was able to keep it together. And everybody talked about what they were thinking about, and she said at the end of that, she said, "That's where you need to teach. That's where you need to be."
wow.
Like that, you're gonna find your passion. And like, I don't know if it was true for anybody else in the classroom, but looking back, man, like, of all the stuff I taught, when I was with that age group right there, like fourth and fifth, like, that was where I really felt I don't like successful, and like it. I always say, like, in that age, I felt like I was like LeBron James playing like high school basketball. Like, I felt like I really got it, understood it, and I don't know. How about for you, Mike? For you, man, where was it for you?
For me, as far as when did I start?
Yeah.
Well, this is my first year as a school counselor, but I've been a therapist in the community since 14 years. So I actually got my master's in community, or at that time it was counseling psychology. So I took years of working for the Department of Family and Children Services, Department of Juvenile Justice, and psychiatric residential treatment facilities, you name it, as far as the community mental health of services. I've been there. So this is my first year as a school counselor. So I guess you could say I did it the hard way. I did all the other populations, other venues first, and then came into the school. So, and I feel like it's helped me a lot, because I can honestly say it's probably not going to be too much that would happen in the school that I haven't seen or dealt with. So I feel very equipped. So sometimes I have to kind of make sure I pull back and not try to do anything that's too therapeutic, because a lot of that has to be referred to our outside providers.
Yeah, and I think what I love about it, man, is like you have seen on the outside what happens if we don't take care of it right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, and I've known a few people, and I've worked with a few people in my time in school that have youth service workers and social service counselors, and man, just what I know based on just a few experiences with them is oh my God, the stuff they've seen.
Yes.
Like as teachers, like we hear about it, we understand what's, but for a lot of us, we haven't been in the home and we haven't seen it firsthand for ourselves. And you, man, you were like in the trenches.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
We were dating when he was like going into homes, and I would be like, "You're going there?" He'd be like, "Yeah, I'm going in the home and everything." And he would tell me stuff, and I'd be like, "Man," like, and it's funny because he would talk about it like it was like an everyday thing.
Right.
And for me, I'm like, "What? Girls are doing that?" And they're like, I'm like, it's like blows my mind. And he's talking like, well, this is day to day. This is what I deal with every day.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy, man. So I think it's awesome that he's in the schools now, because that's what they need.
And Mike, what level are you at? Is it junior high, high school, middle school?
Oh no. I'm also in elementary school. I'm dealing with 1st and 5th grade, and I actually preferred elementary because I feel like if I can catch them at an earlier age, I can try to prevent some of the things that may happen in middle and high school. So I felt like that was the earliest intervention point that I can be most effective.
And just the fact that, I mean, already at all levels, K through 12, there's such a shortage of men in that kind of like that role. And man, loving it that you are not only in that role, but on an elementary school like that's the part that's amazing. Hey, so I was going to ask you, because what's interesting is finding those couples that are like do the school like lifestyle together, and now that the Bearded Hubs is in the game, so you guys now, how did you guys meet?
You want to start?
Ladies first.
Okay, so we met in college, actually. So I went to school 1997. That was my freshman year in college, and we met. We were in the same. I don't know if we were in the same class. We were in the same class. We were in the same class. So we had classes around each other.
Yeah.
And so we met. I remember we chatted. He walked me to my dorm, and I was like, I don't let people up in my room, because I was like, I was in an all-female dorm. I was like, men don't just come up to my room, but we can chat in the lobby, And we chatted, and he kissed me on my cheek, and that was kind of it. We didn't date in college. We both kind of went our separate ways, and then I got married. This is my second marriage, or both of our second marriages. Right. He got married, and so that's where the 4 kids come from. Because the first 3 are from my first marriage, and then we got married in 2013, and I had another child. We went together, and then and so we met 15 years, 20 years later.
Right.
How did y'all
I got
reconnect?
Facebook.
Yep.
Facebook. I was on Facebook, and then I can't remember. I think I might have messaged her.
Oh, he messaged me. Because at the time I was living in Virginia, he messaged me on Facebook. Were you in Atlanta at a basketball game?
No,
I'm
in
like,
the mall. It was in the mall.
wherever. I was like, first of all, he knew I wasn't in Atlanta, but you know,
I did not.
Yeah, we started chatting. And then that was kind of it. And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
she
go ahead.
She missed out the first go around. That was her loss.
That's all right, man. Like sometimes with those first marriages, you got to make all your mistakes with that first one. That way we can do it right with the second one.
It is so true.
And because,
true.
dude, especially like getting married, like looking back, like, I mean, does anybody really have any business getting married in their 20s? Like,
no, we both say that.
No.
Like that's,
No.
I was like, I didn't know what I wanted. I was like, okay, I guess this is the next step.
Right.
Like, this is what we just do. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
crazy. We tell our kids, it's funny because we tell our kids, you know, go to college, you know, get your life together, buy a house, have fun. Just do you for a little bit.
Yeah. Don't rush to get married.
Yeah.
hey, you know, looking back, I was wondering, what I've noticed is that so many educators, those folks are in classrooms and administration. Oftentimes, they had like a significant adult of influence in their life when they were in school. You know, there's a teacher that they had, or a coach, or even AP sometimes. And I'm wondering, for you guys, when you think back in elementary or junior high, even high school, is there somebody that comes to mind first that really made a difference in your life?
Yeah. For me, it was my 5th grade teacher, Miss Polidor, and I've said this story so many times. I struggled at reading, all the way up to 5th grade. I mean, it wasn't like I couldn't read. It was just that I just was reading like a robot. I didn't understand what I read. I think I may have had some attention issues, which he'll tell me even now, like, you probably do have some attention issues.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I struggle to attend sometimes. And so, Miss Polidor, man, she just, and also my mom was really an influence too, but Miss Polidor was a teacher. You know, I was one of those kids that grew up and went to school in the same town. We went to the same, I mean, kind of all the kids were together, went to elementary, middle, high. You know, I didn't move at all. And so my sisters had the same teacher. And so my mom's like, she's awesome. I want you to have her. Well, that year, Miss Polidor had the gifted kids. Yep. Well, I wasn't one of the gifted kids. And so my mom went to the principal and talked to Miss Polidor and was like, yeah, I want my daughter in your class. And I remember distinctly, I was kind of like fiddling around there talking. And she was like, I'll take care of your baby. No worries. I'll take care of your baby. And she did. And she did. And that's not to say I didn't go to other classrooms. It wasn't pulled out for reading and math. But I was in her class and she worked with me. And she was the one that turned the corner for me. I think it was just her confidence in me. And she poured into me. And so I think that was what it was.
Isn't it interesting, like even then, like at that age, like in elementary school, you and kids, like all kids, they are conscious and they are aware of who the gifted kids are, and I am not one of those.
I knew I wasn't. Yeah, it's true.
And it's interesting, because like it sets you up, like, you know, now like that is your mindset in elementary school, and oftentimes like that sticks in the kid's mind, even all the way through high school, even college. Like in high school, whether or not they have a particular talent in an area, they still have that mindset. Right. Well, I'm not AP class. No, I'm not one of those. That's those people over there.
Right.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. And Mike, how about you? Was there somebody for you that really that comes to mind?
Well, because I was my father was in the Air Force, and we moved around like seemingly every 3 years.
Yeah.
I didn't have one really in elementary, middle, or high school, because every 3 years we were moving. So we got Virginia, Germany, New Mexico, New Jersey, South Carolina, some of it everywhere. So I would say definitely, but in college I did, in graduate school, which I know oftentimes you're like, well, you didn't get it until college. Well, I guess you could say I kind of did my second grade while I was in Germany. My teacher, Mrs. Cotton, now that I've really sat down and really thought about it, she was the one who did let my mom know that I needed to be tested for
gifted. He was one of those gifted kids.
For gifted. So I got tested for gifted in second grade.
Look how he beams. He beams when he says gifted. He just kind of sits up a little taller. Yeah.
I was one of those gifted kids. So sorry for you.
But all the giftedness went out the window when I got to high school and was playing basketball because I did struggle academically. Because I didn't prioritize academics, I put basketball over everything.
Yeah.
Parents, Michael and Frida, my parents definitely reminded me that that's not everything.
Yeah.
So I did get it together, but really in college or grad school, my professor, Dr. Gail Rouse, she was influential in letting me know that in the field of mental health, I would need to be able to wear multiple hats, meaning that I would need to be able to do multiple things to sustain the income that would afford me the lifestyle that I want to at least attempt to live.
Yeah.
Because we all know in the field of education or mental health, we're not millionaires. We do get a lot of the biggest problems to try to quote unquote fix, but we're not millionaires. So I was taught, in grad school, just the importance of being able to do multiple things and work in different capacities to make yourself much more marketable and effective in the profession. So I would say that was really important to me, and I still hold on to that.
Man, that brings up an interesting thought that I've never had before is is there a responsibility of those people preparing educators and those that work in a mental health to really talk about a side hustle? Like if you're really...
Yes. Yes,
because that's one of the reasons we lose so many teachers. Get this, man. In over the last few years in Oklahoma, I read this article the other day that we've lost 30,000 teachers just in Oklahoma. They moved to other states. They left the profession because they just can't sustain a lifestyle. They can't. I'm talking like just a minimum basic needs lifestyle because the pay is so low. And I really think, man, in our teacher preparation programs, if you're really going to make this a career and really be you might want to think about adding something onto that plate of income. And I know you guys, you guys do some pay teacher stuff. And then I know you have a workshop for a breakout session on, just teacher, emotional well-being and taking care of yourself. So I think, both those might be, sideline, a side hustle to bring in additional income. And so for the stuff that you guys do in that breakout session I saw coming up, what's that all about?
So it's the Teacher Self-Care Conference sponsored the Educators Room, and the one over it is Fran Warren. She started a self-care conference for teachers. Basically, she had so many teachers coming to her and just saying about things that are just compromising their self-care, right? Mm-hmm. And when I started looking at what she was into and all of that, as a teacher, even he can even tell you there's times when you're neglecting yourself completely. Yeah. It's all about the kids, and I think it's a narrative that we're supposed to do that because you're in a helping profession, you're a teacher, and you're supposed to just give your all. And to me, it's not about that. It's about prioritizing your time and putting yourself first. It's like one of those things, a cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup, but that really just holds true. And so we started talking, and I started really revamping my plate. And we talk about that, what's on your plate and what needs to be off your plate. A lot. And so we're going to be talking about some tips and things that, we do with our family and making sure that family comes first and not neglecting our job, not neglecting our kids, but at the same time, what's truly important on your plate that needs to stay and things that are on your plate that probably needs to be pushed off your plate, and so it's just all about self-care and he always says, if you keep driving yourself to the ground, you'll be gone. Yep. And guess what? Your job is going to be posted the next day. That's just life, and that just is what it is. So, it's those type of conversations that need to be had.
Right. And then also just helping letting people know, teachers know that in our positions, in our respective positions, instructional coach and school counselor, that there are other ways, we can be utilized to assist you in that regard too. Because I think a lot of times teachers think that they have to do everything all by themselves and they can't. The school counselor is only there for, the students. Well, sometimes you can come, excuse me, sometimes as a teacher, you can come and vent to the school counselor. It could be can and should be a safe place, as long as it's not anything damaging, like, you're, threatening to hurt a child or something like that. But we're also a good resource for, if you are feeling overwhelmed or burned out, we can provide resources for you as well, just to, see a therapist or a counselor, just to help you, get back on track to feeling 100% you, because the teaching profession is extremely stressful, and it's oftentimes you do not get paid what you feel that you are worth. And that's probably across the board, from administrator all the way down to paraprofessional. Do not feel like they get paid what they're worth. And I would gamble to say that they're probably right. They probably don't get paid what they're worth. So dealing with that, we trying to help them from that angle as far as self-care is concerned.
You know what it is, man, is I think, what I really wish we did a better job of is having that as a working component of the school process, taking care of teachers emotionally and mentally, and because of the stress, man. And I think people really underestimate the people that don't do it. When you're in a classroom by yourself and like there's no other adult, and you have all this stress in the challenges and then the stories with which these kids come to class and all that they're going through, and you're taking all that on, and then the challenge is you harbor, like you carry that stuff around. And then when you do have a moment to share it, oftentimes it is just this session where it's teachers in the workroom, and because of how challenging it turns out to be negative. Man, I really wish we just had some way of allowing teachers to sit in a circle and somebody to coach and mediate that conversation, so it stays positive and it stays helpful and it stays, where it's almost like you're cleansing rather than, continuing the negativity, and like, because, in those conversations that I had, like, and listen, man, I've done it too. It's like, like you're in the minute and you're in there, making copies or getting your mail, and then somebody says something and you're thinking, well, you think that's bad? This is what just happened in my class. And somebody else, and they,
it is so true.
And man, go ahead.
It ruins. It helps to ruin that school culture. So this is what happens. So it continues and it perpetuates and it perpetuates. And I think, and I've talked to him about it too, because a lot of times when I'm doing my professional development, we're doing it in grade levels, right? So, I'll be up there doing my spiel and they're looking at me like, yada, 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 But I just had this kid that I had to deal with. People are coming in later because they're like, I had to deal with the kid. And I was like, I got it. That comes, you got to deal with that kid first, So then it talks, sometimes my professional development alters, because now this teacher comes in and she's, distraught, and she's like, I'm just done. And then we end up having a conversation, because I'm like, I'm not going to continue talking to y'all about guided reading.
Right. If someone's breaking down.
And y'all are having, serious issues, and you're not going to take in. It's just like the kids when they're having home problems.
Exactly.
It's like, you're not going to hear what I say about, you don't give a crap about guided reading right now, because you have this kid who just tore up your whole classroom, and now we're having to discuss that and find a plan and see what's next. You know what I mean? Same thing.
I call it, I have a theory, and I'm not saying this is right. This is like, I have a lot of theories, like working theories, but this is my current one with that. I call it toxic empathy. And I stole that from an administrator that I had, so it's not like I didn't bring this, I didn't brainstorm this by myself.
Right.
But what she would talk about is, she said, because of the natural state of a teacher, a typical teacher is full of empathy, full of compassion. So when somebody comes in with, oh my God, this is horrible, and these kids are terrible, and they're awful today, and the natural response of a teacher full of empathy is, oh my gosh, I know, right? They're so terrible. And so what she says, now we're in this downward spiral of toxic empathy, because you're reaffirming. Yes, they are. I know they're terrible, right? And then you add to it. Well, let me tell you just what happened at recess today with.
Yes.
Right.
And then somebody comes in to get coffee, and they get. Well, let me tell you. And now it's just
Yeah.
downward and downward. And she said that she said, and it is a form of love. Like that's a loving empathetic response, but it's like the most superficial form of love, where where what's more loving and more compassionate is to stop in that moment and say, hey, wait a minute. Is it all of the kids, or specifically who are we talking about? Well,
Right.
Lisa came in. Well, okay, let's focus on her, just her alone. Have you been to her house? Have you seen where she lives? Her mother was here last week. Did you meet her mother? Because based on
Exactly.
everything I've seen at what's going on in her life outside of school, based on all of that, she's doing really well if you take all that into consideration,
Right.
which is like a more loving response.
Exactly.
Right.
It's so true.
Right.
It's so true. And I know some teachers like to say all of the kids, or, and my principal will shut it down and say, okay, because we do PBIS at my school and you do it at your school too. And she'll say, okay, and we're taking data. We're saying, so really it's just these 10 kids that are repeat offenders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We have 720 kids at our school. These are our 10 kids we really need to figure out, build those relationships, really figure out what's going on with them at home. You know what I mean?
Yep.
To try to put it in perspective, because sometimes as a teacher, you feel like you're in your four walls and you're all you can, and I get it, because all you can deal with is this kid or these kids that are disrupting your classroom, right? I'm trying to teach and now they're a disruption, but what has happened? And so we talk about what has happened to build up to that. What could we have done differently in that situation, to figure out the kids' triggers too. There's some things, and I know we don't like to talk about that's like faux pas, but as a teacher that you have done to now ignite the situation,
Yeah.
right? And so and we have to talk about that. We don't like to have those conversations, to
No.
say, hey, now you just embarrass the kid in front of all his peers.
Right.
What do you think is going to be the kid's natural response? You know what I mean? So,
I talk about that a lot in my work with schools. Is and first of all, a lot of times when I'm doing some sort of a workshop or I'm speaking, at the break, teachers will come up and they'll say, "Well, tell me what to do. I've got this one kid," and they'll and years ago, like maybe 10 years ago, I used to answer them, "Well, here's what you need to do," but now I'm like, you know what? I don't know you. I don't know the kid. Like I haven't been in your class the last 6 months. I don't know what's really happening. Like.
right. Yeah.
I could tell you, but specific, I'd have to live in that classroom for like a week and watch you and watch the kid to come up with some. And I'm so I love that you brought up. It's like we know those repeat offenders, or like those kids that have like the frequent flyer pass to the principal's
Right.
office.
Yeah.
And what we've done, it's been so effective at so many schools, is we've taken those kids and like we put the picture of the kid, and we know who the kid and the kid's name on that picture, and we sit everybody down. Because what I found out is this: for every kid with those most challenging personalities, there's somebody on campus that connects with that kid and loves that kid. There's somebody. Sometimes it's a teacher they had 2 years ago. Sometimes it might be the school nurse. It might be a school secretary. It might be the custodian. There's somebody on campus that really connects, and they love that kid. And for me, that might be like a whole different. I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't able to make the difference in that kid's life. But what we've done is just make it more intentional. Hey, that's your kid. That's your kid this year. So, and it's not we're asking teachers or anybody else on campus to do something more than they're already doing, just being more intentional. So
Right.
when you go back to your classroom, go down that hallway over there, because that kid's on that hallway, and you can look in the classroom and wave and wink at that kid and reconnect all day long. And it's sometimes it's those strategies are the most simple and the most fun that really have the most impact on the lives of those kids.
That is so true. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, for you guys. And so now also coming up with, I love that you have this breakout session. And what I'm wondering is, for those teachers just getting into the business, because like we still lose them, and we lose 50% of teachers in their first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons, I think one of the reasons is because we're not honest with them. Like they don't really know what they're about to get into because they go to college and they're in these crazy education courses and it's all like in theory, it's not
Right.
like
It's so
in
true.
the
Yeah.
classroom. And so when they get there, they're not really prepared. And also like this is the only profession, I always say this is the only profession on the planet where we have the same expectations of a first day teacher as we do of a 30-year veteran. Like get into
So true.
class and here are the standards. This is where they have to be. You have to get your kids here. And also we don't mentor them well. Like we send them off into the class and sometimes they'll have like a first year teacher will get a mentor, but what they
Yeah.
meet like once a week for lunch or something, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you guys were going to give advice to somebody just coming in to the business now, what what would you tell them? What would it be?
Mm.
For me, I always take it back to my first year. God, my first year teaching. And I struggled my first year, and this is what I tell new teachers, is to find someone to observe, one, that you love what they do, and you can say, this is how I want to do it. This is how I want to teach. This is the way I want to do it. And man, when I first year, I just copied everything that teacher did.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, I was like, okay. And what happens is you're a new teacher. Everyone's pulling at you. You do it this way. You're supposed to do it this way. And that teacher says, you're supposed to do it this way. And everyone's telling you all these different ways to teach and to do things. And you're like, which one is the right way? And so what was told to me was, which way do you like to do it? Which way would you like? If you were a teacher and you're not there yet, what kind of teaching would you want to do? Which way would you want to do it? So these teachers did a lot of hands-on learning and things like that. And so I was like, hey, can I plan with y'all? Can we plan together? And so what happened was, it wasn't really us planning together. It was them planning and me saying, okay, I'm going to do what y'all do. So just give me y'all's plan.
Yeah.
And y'all help me through it and talk me through it. And they did. So I really think it's important to not only be given a mentor, but you kind of have to seek it out. And you kind of have to say, hey, I want you to be our mentor. Do you mind being our mentor? And can we plan together? And they have to be proactive. And I know it's hard because you're new. But a lot of times you have to realize that teachers are running a mile a minute, right? And it's not intentional that we're not thinking about that new teacher next door, but because we're running a mile a minute, sometimes they're not intentionally thinking of, Janie already has Sarah to be her mentor, so she's good. Well, she may not be good, right? So Janie has to kind of say, hey, can I plan with y'all? And that's kind of what I did. And I tell them now, I'm still friends with them on Facebook, and I tell them now, y'all helped me so much because I just copied everything you did.
Right. Yeah.
I did, until I could start doing on my own to kind of inch away a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to plan this subject on my own, and I would inch away a little bit. But initially, that first year, I was just like with them, and I would just copy everything they would say. Okay, yep, and they would give me the materials. Okay, yep, I'm going to do that. And they would tell me how to do it, and that's what I did.
Listening to you talk about it, it's like my friends that have been in any other art, like you talk about teaching, just like they talk about the arts, where it was a visual artist I know, or an actor, a stand-up comedian, a comic, or even a songwriter, where like coming up as they're developing their skills, they write a lot of songs that sound just like their favorite artist, and their art, whatever they're painting looks just looks a lot like their favorite artist. And I think that's part of becoming an artist. Like you copy all those people that have influenced you, and your stuff sounds like them, it looks like them. But then as a result of all of that influence, you kind of create your own way of doing things.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And man, here's the other thing, like the mentoring thing. I always think it's crazy. Like the schools I have been in, I think it's crazy how on the first day we have like the first day back to school professional development, we have like a card of a name of our first year teachers or somebody new to the school or new to the district, and they just Marcia, you're gonna work with him. Terrence, that's gonna be your person. They never met these people. Like.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, how do we even know that's a good match, man? Like, why don't we figure out who these people are and like see who would be a good fit? And then here's the other thing I really wish we would do is, and which is, by the way, like in education, we get caught up in our own like history of the way this is just traditionally how we do stuff, where like in the business
Yes.
world, they'll put together a team of people to mentor. Like if they pick somebody they're going to groom for like executive or
Right.
leadership positions, they have a whole team that is going to groom them and mentor. And I think I really wish we did that too. Like figure out the personality of this new kid,
Hmm.
find somebody that's a good match, and then let's put together a team of 3 or 4 more people, because one
Hmm.
person, we just don't have the time to mentor somebody.
It's a lot, and that's why I think, because I had 2 teachers in my first year, and I didn't really ask them. Like it wasn't like, hey, will you be a mentor? I was like, hey, can I come to y'all during planning time and have us when you guys plan? And they would just say, hey, Nita, we're planning, and I would go and I would play with them, and that's just what happened. I mean, it was just one of those things, and not all new teachers have, their self-confidence as a teacher is not there yet because they're new. They're brand new. It's like a baby.
Totally
So,
faking it.
so it was like one of those things. And then also, I think sometimes as new teachers, it's funny, right? I've seen new teachers come in and they're very humble, and then they're very, they want to take it all in. But I've also seen new teachers come in where it's the opposite,
Yeah.
and they're very cocky, and it's like, I know, I got this, I'm good. And then you find out later, well, no, you're not good. You're falling to pieces.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that happens as the honesty of being a new teacher. Just need to say, hey, I don't know it. I need help. But what happens is that sometimes when they come in cocky like that, some of those are the ones that are drowning.
They
you
are
know?
terrified. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think if we did a better job of allowing them to be scared and allowing them to be terrified, and that is what it is. It's letting them know, hey, listen, man, this is your first year. You're supposed to be scared. Like not asking them
Right.
if they're worried. Like,
Right.
hey, man, like you're going to cry. Like that's part of the
Hmm.
deal.
Yeah.
Everyone cries their first year. That's part of the deal. You're gonna feel overwhelmed. You're gonna feel exhausted. You're gonna feel like you can't do it. You're gonna want to quit. Every one of us wanted to quit at some point in the first year.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
and just letting them know. And Mike, I was sitting there thinking, like, from the outside in, because this is your first year, like full time in a school.
Right.
Is it if when you see teachers that are struggling and they're not saying a word, but are there like symptoms and like obvious evidence of you can say, oh my
Oh, yeah.
gosh,
Yes. Um, I say that because without, thinking of a teacher in particular, um, there's certain things that you see as far as signs of the burnout or meltdown. Maybe you're walking past the classroom, and earlier in the year, or not too long ago, you heard the jovial sounds of students learning. Everyone's having a good time, and then you walk by, and the teacher is shouting at the top of her lungs, "Sit down! Take
yeah,
your paper out! Get your
Yeah.
agenda!" That is always a telltale sign that maybe that teacher probably needs, she needs some type of intervention, or to talk to her to see him or her to see exactly what is going on in the class that's causing that type of response.
Hmm.
Other things, such as maybe they were eating lunch as a team, and now you see that teacher sitting away from everyone. She's no longer part of that team. She's kind of isolated herself. That's another one that you can probably tell that something may be going on with that teacher, whether it be classroom related or not classroom related. Sometimes other things that you may see is maybe they don't speak as much. When you're walking down the hallway, hey, how you doing? Just waiting for the year to be over with.
yeah,
Those responses. So there are a lot of things, if we really think about it,
Hmm.
you can see it. The signs are always the signs are always there with students and adult and teachers.
Hmm.
So you can always tell when someone's about to hit the wall or someone is in the midst of hitting the wall. You can tell that that's what's going on, and then it becomes your responsibility, or I guess you can say, for some teachers, it becomes an option for them whether or not they want to intervene. But for me, I look at it more like it's my responsibility,
yeah,
just to check on that teacher to see how they're doing, because a lot of times teachers have so much stuff going on outside of teaching
Yeah.
that we could never guess or be aware of until they let us know. And just the teaching in the classroom, what you're seeing is a manifestation of everything else going on.
Hmm.
So that's oftentimes it's really important to see that and try to intervene when you can to prevent that teacher from having that ultimate breakdown.
Sure.
Yeah, man.
But then also letting them know if it is a classroom issue, like you said, letting them know that it is okay, reaffirming that, kind of normalizing it to let them know, okay, this is your first year, this is what's going to happen, and it's okay. Like it's okay to cry. That was a difficult situation. It's all right. That student has a lot of things going on, and at times their behaviors can be challenging. But it's okay to feel overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. So you use those same strategies that you would with the student with some of the first year teachers, because it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also, man, with this profession, like, what other profession can you not just like take a like in any other profession? If thing is going terribly, and you're whether you're an accountant or you sell real estate or whatever, and you know what people do? They say, "Oh, I just got to take a break. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm gonna go for lunch or take the day out." You know what? Yeah. You're not going anywhere and teach. You're in the classroom, brother. You're not leaving.
Right.
You're not going in. No, we're taking a walk.
Right. With a captive audience of 25 students, 25 to 30 students.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. You're stuck.
There's nowhere to go.
No, man. I saw this article on the it was the taking just a day for you. Like, what about?
Yeah.
And just taking a day, not a day off to take your kid to get there to the orthodontist and to do to get the oil change. Like, it's just taking a day off for you to do nothing and just recover. Yeah. And I think I think it's so underrated, man. Like, even for me, so I'm not in the classroom right now, but if like my job is to create content and ideas and strategies and solutions. Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you this, man. Like, when I've hit the wall and I'm trying to grind through it, I am so unproductive. But if I take a day, just one day to recover and just clear my mind, just do nothing, binge some Netflix or something.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I can tell you this: if I just take one day to do that, the next day I come out, I am like 100% more effective.
We just had that conversation. It's funny, at lunch. I eat lunch with the art teacher and the music teacher. We're like talking, and we're like, man, March is a long month. We have no days off in March, right? I said, guess what, y'all? I'm going to take a day. I said, oh, and I'm going to go to the doctor that day, too. And they started cracking up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm telling you guys, I'm taking a day. I'm not just going to go
really going to the doctors.
And they started laughing. I was like, yeah. And because we eat lunch near the principal's office. So I was like, oh, yeah, and I'm going to go to the doctor that morning, too. Right. And they just knew. Yeah. Because it's like one of those things you already know. When you have a long month like that, you have no breaks, no days off. It's a long month. You have to take a day for yourself. And that's what they're there for. And I think sometimes people look down on you taking days. Yes. Well, why do you give us
It's like
days?
A weakness. Like, you can't take a day.
That's right.
Like, you're not the iron teacher that you think that you are. You have to power through it without taking the day. There's no reward for that.
No. And in order for teachers to come back, they have to take days.
Yeah, what we have is, I always look at it as like a school year trajectory where, like, you're on this trajectory, like heading towards the last day of school. But what happens is some kid melts down, and now there's this little shift in the trajectory, positive or negative. And, like, if we don't get back on track, man, we get further and further away from that path that we're hoping to be on. And it's really all about shifting that trajectory back the other way occasionally it might be just the right conversation in the hallway at the right time that might take 3 minutes to get some teacher back on track and refocus on what they're really trying to do in this classroom and the connections they're trying to make, and to be the one that changes this kid's life. That little conversation in the hallway can get them back on track. In fact, one of the schools I work with, for changing school culture, one of the things that took hold at a recent school was the hallway huddle. And what that is, it is a predetermined time during the day. You have to do it in under 1 minute. You have to do it in less than 60 seconds. And teachers come out into the hallway, and for 60 seconds, and for them, it was after second period, it was at a middle school, they run into the hallway. Right as soon as the bell rings, they run out of their classroom. They stand right in the middle of the hall. Here, now kids are coming. Like, kids are changing classes. They're walking down the hall.
Yeah.
And there's 4 of them. Each one of the 4, they have 15 seconds to talk about something great, something amazing, something that's happening for a kid in their classroom. They do it out loud, big and proud, and they do it
I
in
love
less than
that.
what, and that little thing alone, man, like that little tiny thing has changed everything, not just for those teachers, but the whole feeling, like the vibe on the hallway, because they run
Wow.
out in the middle and at the top of their lungs they say, I am so happy for Melissa because what happened today, and they do their thing, and then the next person goes inside of 1 minute, they run back to the classrooms, done.
Love
Wow.
that.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's powerful because the kids see it too.
Yeah, that's the point. Like the kids, oh my God, they're talking about us, and it's somebody, and kids.
Yeah.
So what they're telling me now is, you just see how slow they walk by because they're going to hear if their name is going to get yelled out today about something that's happening.
Right.
And
I love that.
but really, what it is, it's that whole concept of this neuroplasticity where our culture, like in our country right now, really shines a lot of light on the negativity, like what's on TV. All that salacious stuff you see, that's what's a reality TV show or what's online, what's on the news. It's no one's ever like cheering about heroic stuff happening, man. It's like
No.
It's sad. It's so sad.
But what happens in your mind, and for our kids, I mean, for adults too, is like, because of those neurological pathways are so refined and so like the groove is so deep now to look for negative stuff because of all that influence, like you have to force yourself to find positive things and like retrain your head to see the good stuff.
Right.
It's so true. It is so true. It's kind of like finding your why every day.
Every day.
Finding your why.
Yep.
Every single day.
Man, I was speaking yesterday. I'm getting excited now. So I was speaking yesterday, and the question, the topic was like, what is it about those teachers that are just so driven and passionate all year long? And you know what I found? Like, some of them, is it their expertise in the content? I don't like, maybe once in a while, or is it their grasp of the curriculum and differentiation? Yeah, occasionally. But what it really is, man, like they have such a clear focus, and they're able to articulate what they want for their kids, like the real lesson, like the one that's going to last for the rest of their life, like what that lesson is that the kid's going to talk about in 40 years, and their why, like why this class, like why am I in this school, why are these kids, why am I doing this job? They have such an ability to think about that and articulate it, and they're so like they're consumed with clarity about what they want for their kids and why.
It's so true. It's so true. And then also, like when you speak that why into your daily routine, and it may not even be daily. I mean, let's just be real. Like it might be every other day. But I know, like when I'm, even as a coach, when I'm like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll text him and be like,
yes,
today was a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have to really dig and say, okay, why am I here? You know what I mean? Why did I want to be a coach? What did I want to accomplish? And I have to really, and even as a teacher, as a coach, that one or two teachers that really want to get better, that really show me, they give me that little push to keep going, right? I can't, and then it was funny, I was talking to my administration about it the other day, and she was like, Nita, think for teachers, it's like 80%. You're focusing on the 20% that are like, meh, you know what I mean? Yeah. The 80%. Once you get the 80, you have the 80%. Don't focus on 20%. 20% will come.
You're not going to get 100%.
So she's just like, she tells me that, and that was like, I feel so much better because I was just, I don't know. I guess sometimes as a coach, I feel like, it should happen like that. Like, the culture and things that I want to do all this change and I want to make everything better and it's just not, some things don't just happen just overnight. You know what I mean? It's little things that occur.
And as I often tell her, more often than not, sometimes everyone's not always excited for change. Like sometimes as educators, we get it because we're excited, because as a school counselor, I'm excited to do this lesson or go in the classroom or work with this teacher regarding some behavior that they might be seeing. Everyone's not going to be excited.
No.
So I walk in knowing that everyone's not excited. So that way, when I get that 20, I kind of expect, and I can start reshaping my mind to be able to interact and deal and try to reach that 20%. So I think that's part of it too. But it can be challenging at times because when you are excited about something, you want someone to be on board with you because you see the end game.
Yeah.
and they don't.
Yeah, and,
Mhm.
and that's just like a DNA thing. Like, it's a personality thing. There's some people,
Yeah.
like, no matter what, they're going to be resistant. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it'll be
Right.
all the way until it's happening, and then they get on board. They fought it the whole
That's right.
way.
Right.
But then that's,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
but knowing that's just who they are really helps. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, like with my coaching, instructional coaching I've done and working with teachers individually in the past, is when I focused on like, okay, here's what we're going to try to do in the classroom. Here's how we're going to do it. If I only focus on the how, it was such a grind. But if we talked about, okay, what do we really want to happen as a result
Mhm.
of this? Like what, and really get clear about what the real lesson is for that kid and who they're becoming. And we focus on why and like really getting clear about what our why is. And then even deeper than that, like who do I need to be? Who, like, if
Yeah.
if I'm going to have, like, who do I need to be as a person, as an educator, as a professional to make, so if we get that what, the why, and the who really, like, solidly in place as the foundation, then making it happen, like, the how becomes really, really easy.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
That's so true. Yeah. That's a good point.
And then, but like, but here's the deal with education, like, we need to produce results, and we need to have data that proves that we produce results. And
Yes.
there ain't no
Yes.
data when we're talking about what we really want and why and who we need to be as a
Yes.
person.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
It's a hard thing, and teachers have it. It's really hard for. It's really challenging for teachers, because it's like data is like poured down their throats. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, show me the data, which I get both sides of it because I was in the classroom, but I'm kind of in the middle where I get both sides. Where it's like, you gotta have to prove that this child is really, really progressing, but at the same time, like I tell the teachers, there's a story behind each and every one of these kids.
Yeah.
You can't just look at numbers and say,
Mhm.
okay, this child's not moving. What are you going to do about it? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And so you have to talk about the story too. It's not just a number,
Right.
you know?
Right.
yeah. And you know what, man? Like, here's people think I'm crazy when I tell them this, but when I'm in those school districts, and it's like, okay, in August, I'll do these convocations and all the big back to school stuff, and the superintendent will get up and do their thing and introduce me. Kind of, there's this like formula how the day works oftentimes. And in those school districts that are struggling, like really struggling, there's so much conversation about data and test scores and achievement. Like that's like such a main focus. But those schools that are really really achieving, like, I mean, they're like they're like these outlier. They're so good, like off the data chart. They're so good. They really don't talk much at all about testing and data. And people think, well, the reason they don't talk about it is because they don't have to. Like, they're already doing but they have it backwards, man. Like, the reason they're doing well is because they don't talk about it. Like, that is not their focus. They have such a deeper focus
Mhm.
on the real foundation of kids and taking care of our teachers and putting our kids in. There's this whole thing about putting kids first, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of schools that are tremendous. You know what they do? They put their teachers. We put our school family as educators and counselors and administrators first because our population is so challenging. Like, you can't, like, we have to focus on us together as a family first, and our school families,
Yeah.
and collectively we'll go have an impact on those kids' lives.
Right.
I totally agree
Right.
with that. So 110%.
And a lot of schools are opposite,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is why, like you see the turnover rate being what it is, because you don't feel like you're part of a family. It's kind of like you get out there and make it happen or else. So, I mean, that's an unfortunate place to be in, but yeah, what you just said was very.
It's so true. It's like one of those things where when you don't feel valued or appreciated, I mean, that goes a long way. It's little things that can be done that keep pushing teachers forward. You know what I mean? And it's so funny because I just had literacy night the other night, and teachers had to stay. It was mandatory. They had to stay for literacy night and do that. So that ends up being a what? They go to work at 8. They don't get home till 8. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
12-hour day.
It's like a 12-hour day. I mean, we love kids, but that sucks. It's a 12-hour day. And so the administration put a leave early pass in the people's boxes that were at literacy night. So you get to leave 30 minutes early. Well, that's like gold to teachers because you're like, oh, I get to leave 30 minutes early. All I got to do is turn it in. I'm out. Like, I'm gone. And so what happened, because the buses are usually cold by that time anyway. You just have to just stay till 4. 30 minutes early for teachers are like, they're like, I'm out of here. I get to get home 30 minutes early, pick up my kid 30 minutes early, do whatever. And so just little things like that really go a long way. And it's that's no money. You know what I mean? You just say, hey, leave 30 minutes early. Yeah. So I think appreciation goes a long way. Truly it does.
It's huge, man. And what I tell principals oftentimes is like, hey man, like, let's increase the number of teacher paydays. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm talking, like, ain't nobody here for the check. I'm not talking about the 1st and the 15th. No, that's not a teacher payday. What a teacher payday is some sort of affirmation, some sort of recognition, some sort of evidence that you're doing a great job, something that shows that you're making a difference in the lives of kids, something that makes them feel, and there's so many little opportunities like that, like a little pass, something for lunch, leave early, a jeans day, whatever.
Yeah.
Along with putting kids in front of them to talk about the difference that's happening in their life because of the work of teachers.
Yeah.
I always say, man, like, if you're having a faculty meeting and if you're not taking the first 5 to 10 minutes to have kids stand before the faculty and talking about what they love about school and the difference that's happening in their life, and kids will do that, man. The 3rd grader will get up and talk about how much they love their teacher and why.
I love that.
That 5 minutes before a traditional meeting where no one's paying attention, it is magical.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's a great.
We're gonna do that. Yeah. I love that because we have after school program anyway. Kids are there.
They're there.
You know what I mean?
Go grab one.
Yeah.
Come here, man. Who's your favorite teacher? Let's tell everybody. Let's celebrate.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's so simple. And like, here's the crazy thing. Like, the reason we all signed up for this ridiculous lifestyle is because we wanted to be like the most influential person in the lives of our kids. Mm-hmm. But rarely do we get the evidence that it's happening.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Right.
It's so true.
Right.
You're right. And numbers don't give it to you. You don't feel it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, you may have grown kids, you know what I mean? Everyone's saying, oh, great job. You know, your data has grown. Awesome. But that doesn't give it to you. It's when the kid comes back and say, and that hardly ever happens.
Yeah.
That they come back and say,
years later,
you were really influential in my life. You know what I mean? But yeah, it doesn't happen often.
And man,
it doesn't.
Like, the years later thing is super cool, and I love it. Like, some kid will see you in Walmart or Target, and hey, I remember you, and like, I can't believe it, and you had that moment, and and for me, man, it's always funny how it's like the most challenging kid are the ones that loved it the most.
Yes.
I loved your class. I was like, you love it, dude. You gave me the finger. What are you talking about?
Right.
No, man, I loved it. What are you crazy?
Yeah. And I was going through a hard time.
Yeah. And
so true.
Like those moments are amazing, but I'm telling you, what tops that is a kid that's in real time in your class right now talking about it. Those moments when the kid is 15, you had him 8 years ago. That's great, but man, the kid that's in there right now, talking in front of everybody, it's beautiful. It's powerful. Like, in those faculty meetings, when was the last time you had a faculty meeting where people cried at the beginning because they were so moved by like some kid? To watch a 3rd grader or 5th grader well up with the courage that they're going to talk in front of everybody about their teacher, man, it's magical.
And you know what? It reminds me of that. How is that? Like, last year, we did this activity during professional development time, and it was, who sits at my table? Who do you have sitting at your table? And it's an article that goes along with that. You might have heard of it. And so I had the teachers, it was around Thanksgiving time last year, and I had the teachers talk about who are those people for you at the school right now that continue to push you. And teachers were in tears talking about other teachers on their team, other teachers in the school that were there for them, or who does it for them, or who makes them smile, and they were really, it was really powerful. So that reminds me of that. It's the same type of thing. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things that teachers need to kind of hear it. Yeah. That, this kid is
people want their flowers now. They don't want it. Yeah. They don't want their flowers, at the funeral.
Yeah.
They want their flowers now.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
And here's what I've learned over the years, both for teachers and kids. So in my thing I do for schools is called Be the One, and and I work with teachers throughout the day. So it happens on a regular school day. I work with administrators. I work with a select group of kids that are kind of like these influential type personalities we put together. And then what happens at the end of the day, after school, in a teacher meeting, in a faculty meeting, I put together every adult in the school and that group of kids I worked with. It's usually like 50, 60 kids. And in that moment, what kids will do is they will stand up and do exactly what we're talking about. And they will talk about a teacher that is making a difference in their life, and they'll share their appreciation for that. And this is elementary, junior high, high school, all the levels. And
Wow.
and now here's what happens. It's really uncomfortable at first, but I've done it long enough where I can kind of script out what's going to happen, and I'll get a kid to share. And once that one kid shares, 2 or 3 other kids will raise their hand that they want to go. And once those 2 or 3 go, everybody wants to share. And teachers will talk about why they do this job in front of their kids. And for kids, it'll be the first time that they've heard their language arts teacher not say a word about language arts. They'll hear their math teacher not say a word about math. And
wow.
and when that happened, and what I've realized, I mean, like when I kind of created this whole thing, like I knew it'd be powerful, I had no idea how much people desperately wanted other people to know how, like, they desperately want other people to know the difference that they're making in their life, and
Right.
and the feeling, and how desperately people are need to hear that. And that's why, like, when we give those teachers an opportunity there at the table, who's at my table, and to share the good stuff and the heavy stuff, it's almost it's like it's to see it spread across the room, how everybody wants to share, and the emotion that happens as a result. You can see how deeply their heart needs that stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so true.
Right.
I mean, I had teachers crying that I wouldn't expect to cry. You know what I mean? They're the hardcore teachers that, the ones I wouldn't expect to tear,
And what it is like, in those moments, you get to see why the person, because oftentimes when you're in the field of education, you don't really get during the day-to-day, a lot of teachers may not be able to really show or talk about why they became a teacher, right? So if they're not able to, those moments really solidify it for them, and everyone gets to see that. They get to see Miss Johnson in a whole different light. Usually Miss Johnson may be a little tough on the kids. The students, that they know Miss Johnson's a no-nonsense teacher, but in that moment they get to see a whole other side of Miss Johnson that they didn't see before. And then they know why Miss Johnson is that way with the students now. So it makes more sense. So that's really a great way to go about it.
I love that. I'm totally going to talk about that with my administration next week.
Yeah, man. Like that Miss Johnson. Here's what I know. Like, when I was growing up, and I had Miss Johnson, and she was my way or the highway teacher, like that one.
Yes.
And which, when I was growing up, that was fine, man. Like, that was part, like in 1975, that's okay. Like, you can do that, and everybody gets on board. But now she can do it, but for that to happen for this generation of kid, they have to deeply, like, you have to say the words to kids. I appreciate, man, I believe in you. I love you. You're my kid. Listen, man, I'm not your teacher just this year. I'm your teacher for the rest of your life. And because of that, it's my way or the highway. And they, like, when they say those words and the kids believe it, and they know who she is and why she's like that, then you have those kids, and you really can be that teacher, like that old school hard teacher, because they know how deeply you love them.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't just have that what is that, hard orange, that spoon.
Yeah, you can't just be just strict and your way to the highway without showing the love.
Because we have 4 kids at home, so we hear those highway, no way, whatever that saying is, and we're like, that's the teacher they don't like. That's the teacher they're like, because they're like, I'm like, why? I just don't like. And we have a child, our middle schooler, 7th grader, who used to love school. I mean, when we say love school, she makes good grades. She still makes good grades.
Yeah.
She used to love school.
That's probably not going to change.
Now, I know, that's just who she is. She has intrinsic motivation, but she hates it.
Yeah.
She does not like to go to middle school. It started in 6th grade, now 7th grade. And you know what she said? She said, Mom, all they do is put PowerPoints in front of us, and we just copy notes from the PowerPoint. That's all we do all day.
Yeah, it's nothing interactive.
It's nothing.
And for her, it's kind of those things to where she she's like, I can do that at home by myself. Like, if that's what we're gonna do, I can teach myself that. And
Just
she's right.
PowerPoint.
And she's right. She could teach herself that, but
You know?
it's that other part of it that's missing for her, like the interaction. Not just put some slides on the PowerPoint and study, and we're gonna take the test, and then we're gonna move on to the next.
And it's the relationship building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because she's not feeling that at all this year.
It's so interesting. Like all the best teachers. It's really funny. Is like, for me, that's all I was there for. Like, it was almost as if, I guess I have to teach them something, but because I loved hanging out, man. I love getting to know them. I love talking and sharing and going around the class and everybody having I love those. And it's like, well, I guess we better learn something since we're sitting in here.
Right.
I can't even imagine those teachers that miss out on those moments because they're just doing the take the notes, PowerPoint, read the chapter, answer the questions at the end, that whole thing. I don't even want it. I couldn't show up and do that every day. That's not like, there's no fun in that.
Well, for me, it's even a selfish thing, right? It's like one of those things. It's like, if I'm falling asleep, then this is not what we're gonna do. I can't even teach like that. I have to teach where I'm up and the kids are up and we're having a good time. And not saying there aren't some times that just are boring for the kids, but I'm just saying, like, for me, even as a person, like, I couldn't sit there and do that all day.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I was in another state, and they have 2 high schools in the district, and I was visiting the high schools, and they really do have a set of railroad tracks that run down the center of this town in a southern state, and there's that school over there, and then this school over here, and they're very different, just, in terms of socioeconomic, and they're not bussing anybody. That you like. If you live in that neighborhood and you're one of those people, you go to that school. If you live in that neighborhood, you're one of those, you go to that. And here's the thing, and I go into that traditional school that is what they consider, academically successful. You walk in, and right on the wall they have the ACT 30 wall for every kid that got a 30 on the ACT, and there's a lot of them. And they have the National Merit Scholar wall and all that stuff. And you walk down the hall, and I'm telling you, man, it is silent. I'm thinking, are there any kids? You got 2,500 kids. Like, where are they? And I look in the classroom, and there's a teacher at the front, and kids are looking and taking notes and doing. In every classroom I pass, that's going on. And I go to the other school, and this is Friday. This is a Friday at 2:00, and school ends at 2:45. I go to the next school on the other side of the tracks. Let me tell you something, man. Doors are open. There's skits going on in this classroom. There's people are cheering in that classroom. There's small groups happening over here. There's I don't even know what's going on in this one, but they're wearing outfits and costumes. And I'm thinking, what? And here's the crazy part. At that upper wealth school, the teacher turnover is crazy. They're turning over like 40% of teachers every year.
Wow.
But this school over here, what they think is a low-performing academic school, nobody leaves. Like, they're loving it. Because, like, they're on a mission, man. Like, you feel like you're a part of you're part of a revolution. Like, there's so much school, family culture, and the love, and everybody wants to be a part of it. And I would much rather teach in that building over there.
That's me.
Right.
That's me. You know what I mean? And that's what if teachers aren't happy, they leave.
Yes.
And it shows. If they're not happy, they leave. And the sad part about it is that kids, when you're at a school like that, kids will ask you, "Are you staying?
Yep.
Are you gonna stay?" Yep. They will ask you.
Yeah. We're bad because everybody knows we're bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Are you staying? Are you gonna come back
next year?
Yeah.
Are you coming back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people who, if you have a good culture at your school, thriving, that's where teachers want to be.
Yeah. And you know what? I have schools that I work with that I've seen teacher take huge pay cuts just to go teach in that school district because they want to be a part of it. And and by the way, like that school where I was talking about where they're just standing, like it's silent but super successful. I don't even know that. I'm not even sure that's called teaching. Like if you have kids that just sit down and look at you, I think it's called talking. Like you're talking.
You're good at talking, man. And that's what we talk about. We say that all the time. We're like, the kids should be the one doing most of the talking.
Yeah.
They should be the one actively learning. The person up there, if you're doing the talking, you're doing the learning. I mean, and you already know all this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, you just want to hear. Sometimes people want to hear themselves talk, and the kids are just there just to I guess, be their audience.
Yeah. Hey, listen, before we shut it down, let me ask you this. If you were going to give one tip to a teacher, here we are. Like, I mean, we had just started. It's only, what's March, what, 3rd?
Yeah.
That's it. You know, in March, not many people know. People don't know this, but when you're a teacher, March is the month. It has about 1,000 days are in March.
Yeah.
So if
it's longer than January.
You ain't kidding, man. And so, like, if you were going to give one tip to a teacher out there that is, just struggling, and they're just like, they can't even see the end of they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They can't, like, this school year is never going to end, and they're feeling the burnout, they're feeling the emotional stress. If you're going to give one tip, what would it be?
I would give them my tip. I would take a day.
Yes.
Take a day.
Yeah.
Take a day off. I'm serious. If you take a day and take a day, I'm saying, we were talking about this the other day. Yeah. There's a place called Treat Your Feet that all they do is they massage your feet, and we've gone together, and that thing is heavily, isn't it?
Yes.
So we are, gonna take a day. We're gonna go to the doctor first.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go to Treat Your Feet, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna drop the kids off at school, give them a kiss, bye-bye, and we're going to downtown Atlanta, and we're gonna go Treat Your Feet. We're gonna go get some lunch downtown, and we're going to do us that day. I think it's important to do that. And I know it sometimes looks down on the teacher takes it a personal day or a day for them. That's the only way you're going to get through in March. I mean, March is a long, hellish month. I mean, it is.
Yeah, it is.
I say January and March are the months that last the longest.
But they give you it's like the gold medal at the end for spring break, because spring break comes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I would say when you're at that point where you feel like, and you're on board with me with this, when you feel like you just can't go get your sub plans together, do the work for your sub plans, because teachers hate sub plans. I mean, This is like grueling. I mean, teachers sub plans suck, but get your sub plans together and take a day for yourself. Seriously.
I believe it. And you're right. Like, it does have, I don't know, people frown upon it. It has some weird stigma to it. But here's the thing is, like, if you come back and you're like 100% better and all in, take a day for sure, man.
Yes. Take a day.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, and don't do anything else. And I wouldn't even say, don't go clean your house. Don't go run errands. Find something that you love to do, whether it's going to the movies and you haven't gone in 8 years. Figure out what movies are out. Find your favorite movie. Go to a movie. Get some popcorn. Just chill. Don't do anything.
Yes. Nothing work-related. Nothing even close to resembling work.
No.
Nothing work-related at all.
If your house is like crap, it's going to look like crap another day. Because that day, you just need to just take a day.
And cleaning the house, that's work-related. So
can't do
it.
I love it.
None of that.
I'm fired up, man. No, I might take a week now. I'm taking a week. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because I sent out, that conference we're doing is teacher self-care conference. She does like monthly self-care calendars. And I sent that out. I don't know which month it was. I think it was January. I sent it out, and like on January 25th, it says take a day for yourself, right? I sent it out via email. And so the secretary emailed me back. It was like, you just told all the teachers in the school to take a day on the 25th of January. So I had to let them know, just don't do it all on the same day.
Right.
But she was like, what you just did, right? You just sent a calendar out for everybody to take a day on the 25th.
That's good.
But yeah, so anyway.
All right,
that's what we said.
I love it, man. Hey, thank you so much. I know you guys have a big day of basketball and your 4 kiddos. You're going to shuttle them all over who knows where. And, man, and do the family thing. But, man, I really, really appreciate you guys. And Nita and Mike, if people want to find you guys online, is the Instagram the best place?
Yeah, Instagram for me is the best place. Both of us.
Yeah.
I'm at Love Teach Bless.
Mm-hmm.
And
at bearded.school.counselor.
You ain't kidding, you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna what I'll do is I'll put all this together and I'll let people know about you guys and thank you so much.
Thanks. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. We'll see you.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.